Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel with your boy CODEXREAX. And tonight, hey, we're switching up. No more pre-recorded content, only lives with raw and unfiltered videos just for you. You're not gonna find this anywhere else, so stay locked in by subscribing. And now, let's get into it.
And they're the generals of doing that. Baal, Moloch, Belial, Moloch, particularly.
Why particularly? With
Why
a smile?
particularly Moloch?
Yeah.
I don't like saying his name.
All right.
Yeah. Why particularly him? Because he's third in command of that, of Goetia.
So Moloch is the big boss.
Can you describe their domains?
Where do they come from?
Yes.
They come from the lower vibrational spiral, but they get pulled up because if you say, can you give me a 50-year life, which is nothing, a 50-year life of cars and women and this, I'll give this to you, then that's who they are.
What's the bargain usually involving?
That you have to come back again. All they want you to do is loop. All they want you to do is loop.
Things about my Shopify website that
How true it was when pain.
I know who they.
The most radical story for me was this atheist. And we're walking. He's like, you can pray, but I got to get to that building. So we're walking fast. Yeah. And we're just walking like across the street, walking as fast as we can. And so we're talking a little bit, and his basic thing was, I said, what do you need to believe? What do you need God to do in order to believe in him? That was the prayer or the question I asked everybody.
That's so good.
That's it. Like, what miracle? What's the biggest thing you could ask for God? He wants to flex.
That's so good.
Let him flex his muscles.
Come on.
And then they were like, they'd come up with something. I say, really, that's the biggest demand that you could put on God right now. And they're like, well, why is it the biggest? Because I need you to know he loves you and he wants a relationship with you. Okay, fine. I want my mom to call me and apologize. And I went, okay, I need some backstory. He goes, my mom left us when I was 8 years old. I haven't talked to her since. I recently got her phone number, but I haven't had the courage to call her. She needs to call me and apologize. I said, you let me pray for that? We stop in the middle of the street, like in the middle of the road, stop. And he goes, yeah, you can pray. If God makes my mom call me and apologize, I'll believe in him. Yeah. So I was like, Father, I thank you for Jim, right? I was like, Father, I thank you for Jim. I thank you that you will have his mom call before I say amen.
Yeah, come
to
on.
apologize. And with heartfelt sincerity, so that Jim knows that you love and want a relationship with him. In Jesus' name, amen. It might have been that long of a prayer, right?
Yeah, so you're not dragging it out,
Yeah.
waiting for the call. You're just praying a normal prayer.
Yeah, and then I'll paraphrase his response. But as soon as I said amen, I heard him go, no way.
Leaping way.
Right?
Yeah.
And I look down, and he holds up his phone, and it says, Mom.
Whoa.
And he looks at me, and he's just like, and I said, you got to answer it. Like, that's the deal. You got to answer it. You got to finish this. And he was like, I can't. I said, answer it. Hello? Speakerphone. Hello? Baby, I'm so sorry. Wow. Gotta go. Hung up, fell on his knees, and said, Jesus, you're real. I didn't lead him in a prayer. I didn't say anything. He said, I gotta go, hung up this phone, dropped on his knees, and went, Jesus, you're real.
Wow.
And then he called his mom back up and said, Mom, I'm sorry I hung up on you, but I just gave my life to Jesus. And this is her response.
I have no words
she
for
said,
that.
Baby, I met Jesus 4 days ago.
Whoa.
Praying is witchcraft. You are using words to alter your reality. Words create vibrational frequencies. Praying over food is changing the vibrational frequency of the water in the food. They are raising the vibration of the food before they place it in their body. Each cell in our body responds to the frequencies produced by thoughts, words, and emotions. Holding their hands together is an ancient form of meditation because your hands are manifestations of your brain hemispheres. Placing them together completes the electrical circuit of the brain and the body and allows electrical energy to flow through the meridians of the body. This technique was used to balance the hemispheres of the brain during meditation to access a higher consciousness. Jesus even says, "No longer will you ask me for anything." Instead of praying to Jesus, the Bible says, "Believe that you receive them and you shall have it." This way you trick the subconscious mind in believing that you already have it, which will manifest into
pure
your
knowledge,
reality.
guys.
You attract what you are. Music is magic. Be careful what you listen to because it molds your mind.
How long do you think it's going to be before they make the announcement that we've had contact with outer space and they call for it? What?
Never.
You don't think so?
No. I used to think so. I used to think they were getting us prepared, but I have no doubt now that they never intended to, and I fully agree with them. Now, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was going on a lecture, hey, you got to listen to this, you got to see what's going on. Now, I know they were right. I mean, mankind is not and will never be ready for this kind of information. Sure, it's interesting for you and me and a very small segment of society, and it's tremendously interesting. But
how long do you think it's going to be before they make the announcement that we've had contact with outer space and they call for it? What?
Never.
You don't think so?
No. I used to think so. I used to think they were getting us prepared, but I have no doubt now that they never intended to, and I fully agree with them. Now, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I was going on a lecture, hey, you got to listen to this, you got to see what's going on. Now, I know they were right. I mean, mankind is not and will never be ready for this kind of information. Sure, it's interesting for you and me and a very small segment of society, and it's tremendously interesting. But no way should the public ever be told about this.
It started out with what we call them, don't know if it's the brain direct or the psyche.
Anybody's a fighter in their own.
Once you see how fast this smile makeover was.
There was a study done by this French researcher, René Piache. He built a random event generator, and the random event generator is programmed to randomly turn left or right, like a 0 or 1. It's going to turn right or left. He then hatches these baby chicks, and baby chicks imprint, right? That's what they do. So they imprint on this robot, thinking it's their mother. Then he takes the baby chicks and he puts them in a cage, and he turns on the random event generator, and the baby chicks' intention and the love and emotion that they felt for their mother causes the random event generator to turn 100% of the time in the direction of the baby chicks. These baby chicks with a very, very tiny, teeny-weeny little brain and teeny-weeny little heart somehow had some type of influence on a programmed machine to behave more orderly and less randomly.
What's the darkest part of history that you've recently discovered?
The real history of what Western Africa was like before white people got there. And I'll give you a thought experiment. You're quite a fit, athletic young man, 23 years of age, okay? Imagine you are a British sailor, okay? Same build you are now. You've been sailing for 3 months on this little wooden ship, eating nothing but hardtack. You got scurvy, you're sick, you're malnutrition, okay? We put you on the coast of Africa. It's 49 degrees, okay? You're in a thick red cotton jacket, and I give you a musket, a gun, a weapon of death. And I say, okay, here we are. I want you and the 60 other men on this boat to go and catch 300 of these big black African dudes from 20 miles inland, but you're not allowed to shoot them. No, you have to get them on the boat without hurting them. Somehow. Think you could pull that off? Me, you, the people in this room? 0% chance. I know you're not allowed to say it.
I have an idea of who could pull it off.
Yeah, well, exactly. All the other black people who had all these wars with each other and were waiting on the beach with all their fellow Africans saying, here, take them, give us some more guns, we'll win the next war. That's very dark and it's very scary, especially when you understand how much they're trying today to this
betrayed
point
by their own people
to completely use propaganda to tell you it happened the way we were originally taught.
Como es arriba, es abajo. Como es adentro, es
Dreams carry messages.
We out here on vacation in the Bahamas, another beautiful day. Check it out, check it out. Ooh. I want to talk to y'all for a minute about the power of perception. You see, there's a lot that goes in to being a hot social media content provider. For instance, y'all think I got time to go on vacation? No. I got social to do. Come on, man, this is blue screen. In fact, I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I haven't looked like this good in years. I've been totally computer generated since like the 90s. You know what? This ain't even real blue screen. It's 2019, y'all.
Oh,
it's real.
bro.
This has been hidden from you on purpose. Did you know that the Great Wall of China is 13,171 miles long, and it is always downplayed throughout history? To put that in perspective, from the east to the west coast of America, it is on average 3,000 miles. Yet you have to times that by 4, then add another 1,000 miles, and you're still not at that number. This leaves you to wonder, how did they...
13,000 miles, guys.
I mean, did you even know that China was that big? They started to build the wall before Jesus had even walked the earth. No ruler with a sane mind would dedicate so much time and resources to building something with no purpose. This is where it takes a turn. The ruler that ordered it to be built knew it would take over 1,000 years. Who were they defending against that they needed all 13,000 miles to even have a chance at winning? What or who were they so scared of? Numerous reports, maps, and old photos suggest that the wall was built by the Tartarian Empire. If you look at old photos, the steep side of the Great Wall and even the lookout posts are actually facing China, meaning that it was not built by China. It was in fact to keep whatever was in China in China.
Ayúdenos. Ayudarte.
No way.
Tiny magnets placed on the ball, ensuring a strong attraction to the metal rim.
This guy shows how he attaches these magnets onto the basketball, which draws a stronger attraction to the metal ring, causing a shot like this to be possible. He then shows how these two basketball players are exchanging magnets apparently.
Dang.
So do you think they actually use the stuff in real games? Let me know your thoughts on this.
For everyone, there are 5 active guys who have never played for the Thunder in Chesapeake Energy Arena before.
Zeke staying in front. Ball gets away.
What is James Harden doing?
Take it away from Harden and drive and dunk.
He has a brain lapse.
Might be rigged.
Look at this, folks. It goes off his legs. Now he went dormant.
And Tyronn Lue's going to take a 20-second timeout here.
Come on now, he's doing something that is this history, and that cannot be overlooked. What he's doing.
Well, not only that, you so rightfully pointed out.
How did you form an LLC so quickly?
There's a recent theory coming to light right now.
Yeah.
So Elon Musk, yesterday, they just announced the first ever human to have a Neuralink implant. You hear about this?
Oh, the chip?
Yeah. So there's one successful Neuralink person in the world right now. Happened yesterday. But check this out.
Yeah.
Because there's a crazy theory happening. They put Neuralink into a calculator. It's like a numerology calculator, and it comes out with a number with all the different letters.
Word.
Now, I think they put it here. I'm going to show you the video.
Yeah, let me see.
Check this out. So this is Elon Musk on Twitter, and he pretty much said the first ever human got Neuralink, right?
Yeah.
Now, somebody put Neuralink, the name, into a gematria calculator, and guess what the number is?
What, 7?
No. 666.
666. Dang.
So people are saying that Neuralink, just like in the Bible,
Devil number.
they say people will be implanted with the mark of the beast, which is 666.
There was never a population of people who called themselves the Aztecs. They called themselves the Mexica, M-E-X-I-C-A, which looks shockingly like Mexico because that's where we get the word Mexico from. The Mexica never called themselves the Aztecs. They said they were from Aztlan, A-T-Z-L-A-N, Aztlan. And what happened was, about 150 years ago, anthropologists in some Ivy League school in the northeastern part of the United States decided they were sick of writing Mexica and then talking about Mexican society. So it's M-E-X-I-C-A-N. It looks like Mexican, and they couldn't differentiate then between pre-Columbian Mexico and post-Columbian Mexico. And so they came up with a new term, and EC on the end of something indicates that you're a people. So they took Aztlan, the place that the Aztecs said they were from, and made Aztec so that they could get away from using Mexica. So that's the place that I wanted to start with, just so that you knew that Aztec isn't a real thing.
When I said McDevils, everybody was like, ha ha ha. I said Taco Hell, ha ha ha. White Casket instead of White Castle, ha ha ha. So I went and looked up Popeye's chicken sandwich. Come to find out, they have over 40 ingredients in the Popeye's chicken sandwich. 32 of them were
40
man-made
ingredients,
chemicals.
guys.
And I said, well, let's see what Chick-fil-A has.
It's poison.
Black people got an emotional attachment to this Chick-fil-A spot. So when I said Chick-fil-A, over 50 chemicals in the chicken sandwich, over 40 of them were man-made chemicals. I said, so hell, this is a dope sandwich. So they really are flipping birds over there. Inside of beef, there were 21 drugs pumped into cows that were harmful to the human body. This was in the 60s. Because these drugs are in the meat, then you become addicted to it. I even was told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And they were trying to get you to buy the cereal that they were producing. We find ourselves
and the most important meal of the day.
Unnecessarily. The oldest man in the scriptures named Methuselah, 969. How'd you live to be almost 1,000? He ate one meal, fasted 3 days, and then ate another meal. You eat like that, your body will never have enough toxins to even make you sick. I end up becoming a vegetarian that I feel now at the age of 48 better than I felt at the age of 15. They don't want you to know that they're drugging you, wanting the food not for nutritional value, but because you become addicted. Any foreign substance automatically activates the immune system, which means our bodies, when we eat this kind of food, they're fighting an unnecessary battle. So when the real battles of disease show up, the systems are too worn out by fighting these small battles every day from bad eating that they can't handle a virus when it shows up.
The truth is hidden in a plain sight. We are one with the nature.
Jesus, aka Yeshua, right? Yeshua is a real person, or was a real person, because I've been to Egypt, you've been to Egypt. I don't know if you guys went to Coptic Cairo after I left to see the house where he actually slept in, which is now a Coptic church. So, and also the entire path that he took through Egypt, staying from home to home, is all there documented, well documented in Egypt. So he disappears from the Bible at the age of 12, and he goes on this journey. He goes to Tibet to learn Reiki healing and Qigong. He goes to India to learn the mystic arts. And then all the way back, he's teaching reincarnation. This is in the Gospel of the Holy 12, which was withheld from the biblical canonized Bible. And so you're talking about a person that had a high vibration, that may even have been an avatar himself. You know, could he even be Thoth, right? Could he be Hermes, come back in a different way? Instead of transferring to another body, say, you know, I'm going to come back through the womb this time. Now, some of the words that Jesus spoke, I believe, were remixed and changed because the Bible was not written in real time.
How are more people not talking about what is happening in Bangladesh right now? Because it is actually wild. So this week, massive protests erupted across the country. So in response, not only has the entire population been placed under a curfew enforced by the military, but the government also ordered the closure of all universities and have completely shut down the internet and all mobile services to try and stop the unrest. I mean, can you just imagine if your government shut down your internet? That's a country of over 170 million people now cut off from the world. That's wild. And it's literally turning into something you'd see in a movie, because now they've stormed a prison and broken hundreds of people out. The government is being hacked by a group called The Resistance. And on the official website of the Prime Minister, it currently reads, "Stop killing students. It's not a protest anymore. It's a war now." What they're referencing is the 105 people so far killed in these protests, according to an AFP count. So you're probably wondering, what has caused all of this? Well, Bangladesh have a job system in which more than half of government jobs are reserved for specific groups. And out of the total, only 44% of them you can actually get hired for based on merit. And when you have a country where over 40% of the youth are neither working or in university, jobs really matter. Some students want this job system abolished, while others want it to remain, which is why things have turned so violent and words like civil war are floating around now. But the only reason I even found out that this was going on was because hundreds of you guys messaged me. And it's just crazy that things like this can happen in the world and you can just go unaware.
It's overwhelming, people having to go years and
I saw it myself. I couldn't believe it. And just, just little bitty babies, just all torn pieces. Their heads chopped off, arms, legs, just...
Hundreds of human fetuses, some possibly in the 6th month of development, were found stacked in a large shipping container picked up behind the home of a medical laboratory owner. Detective Roland Drowen said the fetuses, from the size of an egg up to as much as 4 pounds, were preserved in white plastic containers, packed in cardboard boxes and stored in the large container. The fetuses were discovered Thursday night after the owner of the 20-foot by 8-foot storage container repossessed it from Mel Weisberg because he failed to make a $1,700 payment. The company picked it up and brought it back. They noticed it was quite heavy. While unloading, a box had dropped and a fetus was discovered.
One of them fell down and hit me right in front of my feet. And it was opened up, and there it was. It was a mutilated body.
Nick Martin, who opened the storage container, also said there was a putrid smell. They say they're just fetuses, he added, but they sure look like humans to me. The laboratory owner Mel Weisberg signs his name Dr. Weisberg, but the police were unable to confirm that he was a legal physician.
What happens when you sit in front of a candle and meditate? Well, what happens is all fires burn at 10 hertz frequency. So when you're looking at that, you're actually syncing your brain to alpha. Did you ever wonder why the gurus go into the Himalayas? The Himalayas actually vibrate at 7.8 hertz frequency. You're actually triggering theta. What that does is it instructs your nervous system to produce GABA. And GABA is a precursor to DMT. So if you want to have your own DMT experience, that's one of the ways you activate it. And that's why people that meditate, if they get into the deeper states, they can have these spiritual experiences because we're chemically coded for that. We just need to trigger it.
Solomon says that God answered his prayer and sent an angel down with a ring to give him a ring, and that ring gave him power over the spiritual world. And Solomon uses it in what seems to be an attempt to help humanity. He claims that he used the authority of the ring to summon all the principalities of the world, the Nephilim, that are these disembodied spirits going around causing all this illness and different things. And he does several things. He interviews them as to what they hate, what casts them out, and like what angel is over them, that they, if that angel comes, they'll flee. Michael or Raphael or whatever, right? He writes all this stuff down, and this becomes witchcraft. For instance, one of the demons told him, I was in the land of Persia or whatever, but I left because someone was cooking fish. A fish gallbladder burning over an open fire drives me nuts. It's like putrid to me because I'm a water-based demon, and something like we don't smell burning things underwater, and so seeing it in the open air just makes me want to vomit, and so I left. Solomon's like, that's interesting information. I'm going to write that down. So if you want to repel a water demon, burn the gallbladder of a fish over an open fire in the month of June on a full moon or whatever. And that became a spell, which is where witchcraft comes from. Does that make sense?
It does.
The pentagram they use in their prayer circles is an homage to the Ring of Solomon. Solomon called it a prayer circle. He used to use the names of God, Adonai, and different powerful names of God to keep the demons from getting to him while he's playing these games with them, interviewing them. He would summon them, milk them for information, forcing them to comply with the ring, and then basically saying, okay, you go over here. He would enslave them to build the temple of God. That's why they think all these rocks, the pyramids and stuff were built by these types of things. So the Masons come out of this as well. One of the highest ranking demons that Solomon enslaves to be a worker in the temple, he makes him a stone cutter and a mason, which is where the Masonic order seems to come with this demonic. Does that make sense? It's like all tied together. So Solomon summons all these guys, writes down a list of everything they hate based on starts to categorize and map out the spiritual world for the sake of humanity being able to control them. Because at this point, these things are running around tormenting the world. Solomon's trying to get a hold of it. So he's basically the sorcerer supreme, if you think of it like that. But he realizes that you can enslave the entire spiritual world if you get their bosses. They have to follow. And now you've cleared the world of demons, and guess what he trapped them in?
What?
A brass vessel, a lamp. This is where the legend of genies comes from. It's also the idea of Pandora's box. All the evil of the world trapped in one little bitty vessel, right? He throws it into the lake, drowning them. the world prospers, his kingdom prospers, everything's good. No evil, no wars, no nothing. Humanity, hearing the legends of this, start trying to dive the sea to figure out how to get this lamp back up so they can release these things so that they can manifest. This is like literally manifestation. This is why it's so dark and deep. Very ancient roots to these things. They want stuff. These things have power, and while they were horrible and tormenting us, they also gave us what we wanted if we worshiped them, right? So they opened Pandora's box. Solomon's still in control because of the ring, but at this time, and this is where Balaam comes back in, guess what they did to trip up Solomon? They sent a woman to cause him to fornicate, who forced him as a literal prerequisite to sleeping with him, you have to worship my foreign god. They always try to get God to punish us through our sin because they can't curse us because of the authority we have in Christ. So they released Pandora's box. Solomon's still in control, but now he's being tempted to, if you want to marry the queen, I think it was the Queen of Sheba, you have to worship Moloch. So he sacrifices to Moloch, and he said the second he did it, he said, I immediately felt the Spirit of God depart from me. Said as I continued to do it, I felt it completely abandon me, and I became the sport of the demons I once controlled. Spent the rest of his life tormented by demons and giving into all these different things. Now that God wasn't protecting him, he became a master of witchcraft to try to force these things to not be able to. He tried to take it into his. It's like, God's abandoned me. They're going to kill me. They're going to ruin my life. I have to figure. And so he comes up with all these spells he wrote. I remember so and so said he hates gallbladders, and so he started, get me 3 gallbladders of this, and he basically became a sorcerer in order to ward off the demonic world, which is now at his doorstep. And this is the birth of witchcraft. Solomon really perfected the art of the modern occult through his desperation to ward off the spiritual world after God left to abandon him.
So in the early 2000s, there was this
This is your sign to work.
I made $120,000 last week with this.
Okay, if you're at all like mentally unstable or fragile, don't watch this one. So I've made a lot of videos about organoid intelligence in the past. That's where you take human brain cells and grow them in a petri dish and then use a computer to train them just like AI. They're actually more powerful than AI in that they learn quicker and are more energy efficient, but there are huge ethical concerns with them because they have similar brain activity to a premature baby. And there's a lot of people out there that object to these because there's a decent amount of evidence that they're conscious, just like a person. I recently posted a company called Final Spark, and they actually have something called Neuralink platform where you can rent out essentially server space on these organoid brains, so you can pay for them to do things for you. This is a live stream of the organoid brain computers that you can rent out, but there's something way more concerning on their website, and that's this simulation which the brains are fed sensory data from, so that they can feel everything the butterfly feels and control it to like fly around. The reason why that's terrifying is there's a good chance the brains, if they are conscious, just believe they are that butterfly. Because when they're not in use by someone purchasing their computational power, they just fly around and exist in that simulation. And you probably already see where I'm going with this, but if this is possible, you could make a pretty good case that we are just organoid brains somewhere, and this is a simulation that we're in.
Maybe.
And maybe like when you daydream or just fall asleep, that's someone using your consciousness to do something else. I don't know, but crazy to think about. Crazy times.
Hey, how much do your friends like you? It doesn't matter. His friends like them more. Meet Young Dolph, a rapper from Memphis who was tragically... So his friends found out who did it, then turned Memphis into the most violent city in America according to the FBI. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, that sounds a tad excessive. Well, you ain't from Memphis. Because you see, Young Dolph was no ordinary...
My name is Daryl Anka.
Hey, how much do your friends like you? It doesn't matter. His friends like them more. Meet Young Dolph, a rapper from Memphis who was tragically... So his friends found out who did it, then turned Memphis into the most violent city in America according to the FBI. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, that sounds a tad excessive. Well, you ain't from Memphis. Because you see, Young Dolph was no ordinary rapper. He was so loved in his city, they called him the King of Memphis. Now, I want you to remember something. If a city calls a rapper king, they're a big deal. But you see, there was another rapper that didn't like that very much, and his name was Yo Gotti. And that is how our story begins. Because you see, Yo Gotti had a problem. He said, hey, yo, I'm the King of Memphis. Everybody said, no, you're not. He said, picked up the phone. He said, Dolph. Dolph said, yo. He said, everybody calling you the King of Memphis. I don't think I like that. Dolph says, okay. Yo, everybody, he hating. So Yo Gotti and Young Dolph start having problems. And when the head of a label has a problem with somebody,
everybody in the label does too. That's why Pusha T and Drake were beefing, because Pusha T had a problem with Lil Wayne, the head of Drake's label. Well, the same thing happens here. One of Yo Gotti's artists, Black Youngsta, says, I don't like you, Young Dolph. Young Dolph says, well, what you finna do about it? Black Youngsta said, I'm not the same as Yo Gotti. I be crashing out. Oh, and Black Youngsta be crashing out. He starts popping up in videos with a very big saying, if anybody's seen Young Dolph, let me know. The Memphis police go, what'd he say? And at this point, start keeping a very close eye on the rappers, because I want you to remember something else. If you've heard of a rapper's name outside of their city, chances are inside of their city, they're very influential and they're a big deal. But Young Dolph isn't worried about it, but just in case, he buys a $300,000 bulletproof Mercedes. And it pays off, because when he goes to do a show, the Mercedes gets lit up. The Memphis police immediately call him Black Youngsta and say, well, we know you did it. He goes, well, do you have any proof? The police go, no. Black Youngsta goes, no. You see, the problem with you police, his friend go, Black Youngsta. Black Youngsta go, the problem with you police, his friend go, Black Youngsta. He go, can't you see I'm talking to the police? What you want? He says, my fault, but Young Dolph is telling everybody he knows we did it. But see, Young Dolph did a little more than accuse Black Youngsta of in his car. Young Dolph basically calls them out during a performance. The same day his car got up, basically saying he not worried about them, but he decides to take it a step further and shows up to Yo Gotti's hotel. A scuffle ensues and Young Dolph ends up getting again. But he pops out saying, I'm good, everybody, and shoots a music video. And it's at this point, he's basically a Memphis legend. And well, he kind of was before this too, because you see, he gave back so much to the city that people loved him. In fact, he gave back so much to the city of Memphis that Memphis named November 17th Dolph Day. In fact, before he was giving back to a cancer center. 2 days later, he drives over to his favorite cookie spot. The owner say, hey, can you shout us out? He gets on Instagram, says how much he loves the cookies, and he goes there all the time. And there it was. Next time he goes, he was followed, and tragically, I know what you're thinking. Well, it must have been Yo Gotti or Black Youngsta, right? Well, the police thought the same thing. So they rush over to Yo Gotti's house to guard it because they knew what was coming next. The chief of police makes an announcement saying, everyone stay in your home. The police start trying to solve the case as fast as possible because they know they're running out of time. An Instagram comedian makes fun of Dolph. He gets down immediately. Police start getting more and more reports of being fired. So they double time it and they figure it out. They bring in 2 suspects and say, oh, that was close, but it only makes things worse. People they know start getting, the police were like, what do y'all want? Young Dolph's friends were like, to slide. This thing becomes so big it gets a name. Slide for Dolph. In the month following what happened to Young Dolph, 40 people were suspected to have been in retaliation, which pushes Memphis to the top of the list. Now, I should say that this list goes up and down all the time depending on what's going on in the city. Memphis is always usually up there, but never by that much. The police take it a step further. Listen closely. They find the man who hired those guys to Dolph, but the internet decides to dig a little deeper and figure out how he did it and find a picture of him with their boss. Boom, the boss is gone. They then find a picture of their boss with none other than Yo Gotti's brother. And Yo Gotti's brother is seen in his post making fun of Young Dolph. Yo Gotti's brother ends up. And there's a saying, the streets know everything. I don't know if that's a saying, I might have made that up, but a friend of Young Dolph came out saying he's pretty sure that Yo Gotti has nothing to do with it, and it was his brother. But that does not make it a true statement. And I personally do not know and did not step further into who might have done it, who didn't do it, because there's so many rumors, it's impossible to know what's fact. But at the end of the day, Memphis's rate went back down in 2023.
Street justice.
And then went back up in 2024, so I don't know what to tell you. Because the fact that y'all are always ahead of Baltimore is a problem.
Please, people, please don't be stupid. Because the withdrawal from Ukraine and all that stuff is, predicated on the war ending. And the war ends only when Donald Trump makes 2 perfect phone calls. That's his term, perfect phone calls. Because Donald Trump is the ultimate narcissist. Everything he does is perfection. And he will make the perfect phone calls. And he will call Ukraine and say, you must agree to end this war. And now Trump has put out a plan. He'll say, you must give the Russians Crimea. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Russia already has it, but that's okay. But we will get Russia to give you back Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, and Lugansk. And Zelensky, because that's Zelensky's formula right now. Willing to, he's willing, Crimea, okay, but the others have to come back. They're not talking about they're not talking about 1991 borders, they're talking about 2022 borders. Okay, so now Zelensky goes, yeah, I'm all in, because he has no choice. He's dying. It's over. But see, Zelensky knows something, that Putin will never accept this. Now, Trump's going to make the second perfect phone call to Putin. And Putin's going to say, pound sand, you orange-faced reptile. No, Russia's never going to give up 4 territories. Hell, Russia's going for broke on others, I believe. Lavrov said no Russian in Ukraine will live under the Ukrainian, the Ukrainian rule, given Ukraine's history of attacking Russians culturally, linguistically, etc. Oh my God, what does that mean? To Odessa, Kharkov, Dnipropetrovsk, Nikolaev, Sumy, others. Sort of means that Russia is going to take it. And Putin warned. He put a peace plan out there before Zelensky's little magic show in Switzerland. He said, that's the peace plan. It's the best one you're ever going to get. It was a good one. Zelensky said no. And he said, if you turn this down, there will be no more. The next negotiation that's had will be our dictating the terms of unconditional surrender to you. And that's where we're at right now.
Man, I'm really starting to believe that the night is day and day is night. Because I seen this moon, right? The same day I just posted that video of the moon getting covered by black clouds. I seen this at 3 in the morning after, I was walking my dog. I was like, what the I thought that shit disappeared. It didn't. It showed up again, but the very same black clouds are literally right below it, about to cover it, right? But I stayed the whole night watching this thing. As it's setting, look at it. It started to turn orange. That looks like the sunset. And it's setting at the very same spot I record the sunset every single day. Look at this. Doesn't this look like the sun? Not the moon? That looks like the sun, y'all, more than the moon. And is that the reason why they cover the moon every single night now? They black that out every night, make it disappear in 1 hour. I never see that moon throughout the night. It's always covered. You know what I'm saying? I'm beginning to think they switched the days on us because birds are chirping at night. People are experiencing, tiredness, or they can't sleep at night, like that. I'm beginning to think that is real. They really did switch it on us, and I think they did it while we were sleeping on April 8th. I don't know, man. I don't want to jump to conclusion, but what I'm looking at right now, it's starting to sound like it. So you all tell me in the comments below what you guys fucking think.
Leave a
if
comment.
You thought that was a sunset as well.
Back there, you said the one thing that we shouldn't eat is carrots.
Carrot is not a product of life. Only the products of life could assist you. Only a product that was created by life could assimilate in you and render good. And how do we know what is created by life and what was created by a laboratory? Well, everything that nature creates, it starts from the ground and it matures and then it comes to a seed. And the seed goes back and incubates in the soil. And the following year, you have another plant like the one that just dried up. And that is continuum throughout creation. There is a seed that represents that particular product. As for carrots, it does not have a seed.
I'm a little confused. You say there is not a seed for a carrot?
We're living in a world of GMO.
Not only was it artificial, but it was made in Holland. I didn't know it was made in Holland, but I knew it was artificial because I have to look at things from a natural perspective. And when I look at nature, nature just doesn't create starches, number one. And nature reproduces herself without the aid of a man. Of course, I make that statement because the information that they got about carrots and about certain foods were not as consistent as they believed they were.
This easy-to-read book is packed.
In the year 2006, I had a bad fall in this place, and I want to share with you the meaning of this fall and the lesson which I learned from it. At this time, I failed in my own beliefs. I always believed that the Jesus prayer and the name of the cross, that these words are holy as protections for us against the evil one. In the year 2006, when I was coming out of the cave of St. Anthony, after praying at midnight to return to my own cave up this way, my mind, I let go. I let go of my prayer. And as you will see, I will show you now what happened to me when I let go of my prayer. It was the Holy Fast, the Great Fast. And as you know, in the Holy Fast, we pray the Mass in the afternoon. The Holy Liturgy is from 2 till 4, not in the midnight. So I used to come at midnight to pray my psalms. I thought it was a good idea because the cave of St. Anthony will be without prayer if I don't come at midnight to pray the liturgy, so I wanted to keep the saint company with my psalms. So I came, 1 week, 2 weeks, I came every night and I prayed my psalms at midnight and finished about 1:30, and then I will go back to my cave. At the end of the second week, I came out of the cave. I had finished my prayers. I had prayed as usual, and as I came over here, I started to walk toward these steps which are leading up to my cave. My mind was not, I finished my prayer, so I let go of prayer. I let my mind just to be free. And this was a big mistake. This was a big error on my part. As I came up here, I started to climb, and I was thinking, I don't remember exactly what I was thinking about, but I wasn't praying. I wasn't saying, Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me, and I wasn't saying anything for St. Mary or for St. Anthony. I was not praying at all. As I climbed up here, I looked up and I saw this part of the mountain here. You can see there's a kind of a scratch on the mountain there. I have a good imagination, and many times I can see animal shapes in the mountain. I see animal shapes in the rocks or in the shadows of the rocks on the sand. This night I can swear to you it was not my imagination. When I looked up here, I saw a bear. You know, a great big shape of a bear, with the shaggy arms and the claw-like hands and a massive body. And as I start to climb up here, I looked up and I saw the bear against that face of the mountain. And for a split second I thought that it was my imagination, that I'm just seeing the shape of a bear as I see other shapes around the mountain. And as I looked at it, it was kind of a darker dark than the night. The night was light with moonlight. It was not completely dark night. But this shape was totally dark. It was black, black as black, black within blackness.
A black bear.
And as I looked at it, the shape started to move toward me. And this was
it's getting real.
The bear started to move toward me out of the mountain. I was preparing to climb up, and the bear started to come toward me. And I knew, in a split second I knew that this was not a bear, this was a devil, and he was coming to push me. I had no chance. I didn't pray. If I had said in that moment, if I had said, Lord Jesus, help me, if I had said, Holy Cross of Christ, if I had said anything, he would have disappeared. The records of the fathers show that whenever Satan approaches a monk, he should pray, and Satan would disappear in smoke. I don't know why. To this day, I don't know why I was so stiff, why I didn't open my heart to pray. But that's the fact of it.
The fear.
And as I moved back, the bear was approaching me, Satan was approaching me, and as I moved back, I fell down. I fell down to here, and I crushed my face on these rocks. And I broke my wrists and my jaw and my knees. I was bloodied. I was bloodied and broken because I fled from Satan, and I didn't use the name of Christ to defend me.
When I was a kid, I was taught a bunch of nonsensical things like
never make a doc. So there's several videos going viral right now of what's supposed to be green lasers descending from the sky.
People's homes scanning the ground with that green laser.
People started paying attention after this particular video went viral. In this video you can see a plane flashing a green laser and kind of scanning the ground. This made a lot of people start questioning what the heck was going on. Where were these green lasers coming from? And then just a couple of months later, a CCTV camera captured what looks like several green laser beams of light descending from space. Needless to say, this got a lot of attention, and experts and researchers were saying that this probably came from a Chinese satellite, but no one knows.
Probably government projects.
What the is that? Now this is where things take a really strange turn. Just a couple of months after, there were several videos popping up all over the internet of what's supposed to be these green laser beams descending from the sky.
What in the ever-living fuck is that?
This got so much attention that it ended up on the news, and they actually found out that some of the planes scanning the ground with these green lasers were owned by a company named Randigo, but still, no one knew why they were doing this.
I was just getting home and I saw it going back and forth with a laser beam, and it scanned over me multiple times. I've never had flight radar until this happened, because I'm like, what the heck is going on? But it shows that what kind of plane it was and what type of plane. I don't know who owns it, it just says private owner.
When you put the information Casey provided into the FAA website, it comes back with this information saying it's registered to Randigo.
Little by little, people started researching about Randigo, and they found out several patterns. In one of them, you can see several pictures coming from flight radar of the plane's paths. Whatever they're doing, it's as if they're scanning something, maybe weather patterns, maybe something else.
Something's up.
In another Reddit post, someone found out that the company owns 33 planes and 33 employees, and I don't know why, but this raised a lot of red flags.
This dude was going to crash into the house. Wait till you see the laser coming off the bottom of it. Check the radar map. He's 1,200 feet off the ground. You see that green laser coming off the bottom?
And then, another Reddit user posted something like this. This plane flew over me this evening and was spraying something. Smell was awful. So I did a quick research just to double check if this plane was owned by Randigo, and guess what? It is. Strange, isn't it? What the heck is going on? It seems no one knows, but I want to know your take. What are these green lasers descending from space and from planes? What's going on?
You don't want to take away.
Number one, the planet Earth is and has been the subject of an extensive, massive, a very thorough and detailed study by several extraterrestrial civilizations. Now that's an attention getter in itself. Number two, these civilizations have demonstrated an extremely advanced technology, possibly hundreds or even thousands of years beyond our own.
Easy.
It gets better. There seems to be a process or a plan of some kind unfolding. The studies indicated and demonstrated that a development of some kind of program was underway. Evidence collected indicated that the program has been going on for a very long time, possibly hundreds or even thousands of years. And some of my associates, research fellows, and I have concluded it's probably been going on longer than that. The study concluded that there did not appear to be a major military threat involved in 1964. That if they, whoever they are, were malevolent or hostile, there was absolutely nothing we could do, because the level of technology that had been demonstrated was so far beyond anything we had in 1964 that we felt that if they were hostile or malevolent, the game was up.
Would be gone.
Over with.
Period.
Alright, buckle up, there's a lot to get into. So you're familiar with this from Glamham. But are you familiar with this one that showed up in Thailand on the 21st? What about this one that happened in Brazil, in Brasilia, not once but twice on the same day on August 26th? Now, Brazil's newest capital is where you have the Crown of Thorns architect, and I'm sure you're familiar with their old capital. But here's the spot in Thailand, which is home to one of these Buddha places. Alright, classroom, now it's time to go to CERN, and let me show you what's here in this spot. See, they love to tell you that the statue does not exist, but let me show you the statue of Shiva. Oh my gosh, is that what's there? And you should be familiar with what she does in the portals, right? And now let's go to this other one that deals with a project that some people are familiar with. Yep, that's CERN. Let's drop this little guy right here and see what this is. Huh, what's this hiding in plain sight? Almost looks like there's a projection here of B squared. So is it possible they are about to turn that project into something? Take care. God bless.
Cuando está brillando tanto, ahí va. Vamos a ver. Viene arriba de nosotros. Pues sí, y si, pero eso
only God knows what it is.
puede ser un dron, mira, nos está viendo.
And a drone.
Y de repente se apaga.
And a drone.
Entonces hace rato se encendió cañón, ¿no? Y luego solo...
UFO.
When you learn what happens inside nuclear command and control, inside those nuclear bunkers at the Pentagon, beneath STRATCOM, in Cheyenne Mountain, the first 150 seconds after a ballistic missile launches, when the satellite in space sees the launch, it sees the hot rocket exhaust from its incredible sensor, 1/10 of the way to the moon, sees it. For the next 150 seconds, U.S. nuclear command and control, all those assigned to the job, are trying to figure out where that ballistic missile is going. It's like, so in seconds, the data goes to the satellite, and then it's relayed to command centers in the United States. There's a facility called the Aerospace Data Facility in Colorado that was only its existence was only declassified in 2008, okay? And that facility then, and others, NSA, there's numerous intelligence agencies, military intelligence agencies that are then processing that data. This is happening in seconds and interpreting the trajectory of the missile launch.
Solomon really perfected the art of the modern occult.
When you learn,
Solomon really.
One day, I get an email. I had a Proton Mail account. Are you familiar with Proton Mail?
Oh, that's like an anonymous one for like drug dealers and shit, right?
Okay, so it's an encrypted email.
Okay.
I get an email from a guy. This is 2012. He wanted to meet me at a place called Lux Bar. He said he had a job for me. Said the job was paying $52,000 for 5 days.
Damn, that's a huge bag of money.
You get the entire payment.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, okay.
Also, why would they pay you up front?
Listen to this. I meet up with the guy. He shows me a ID from the Pentagon. He tells me that he does not trust certain people that he works with, and that he needs me to keep him safe until he can testify in front of Congress.
Oh, wow.
Right? Mm-hmm. He shows me some pictures. He say, what does this look like to you? So I say, okay, so what am I looking at? He says, these pictures are on the surface of the moon. He say, my job is to scrub these pictures to make them available to get released to the public. I'm like, okay. Then he asked me to sign an NDA. He pull out a little folder, unfold the paper, and say, "Want me to sign an NDA?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." I always try to avoid that because to me it's like you're agreeing to something, right? Then the guy goes on to explain to me about some race of people who live at the bottom of the ocean. They have facilities there, and when I refused this job...
Sounds like a Little Mermaid, but...
Until you hear these parts.
Okay.
I refused the gig. He tells me someone's occupying our moon. I'm scheduled to testify as a whistleblower in front of Congress about this. Can you keep me safe until then? I had to turn the job down because as soon as I go outside, my car ransacked. My car, for about 3 weeks, my car get towed. I go to pick it up, they give it to me for free. Then, a lot of strange things was happening. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, this guy testified in front of Congress.
And is he still alive?
Yep.
Sounds like if they were willing to do all that to you, that they would be willing to kill him too. Or something to him.
That's just getting stranger than fiction. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. Don't forget to subscribe, stay woke, and I'll catch you next time.